All right, and welcome back to the Quality Piles podcast. Tonight's actually going to be a real quick one here, boys. We have our old friend from Addison Barbecue in the news again. For our viewers on YouTube, check us out what we're looking at here. And for our listeners, yeah, this guy, again, if you don't remember, is the anti-mask business hero who's anti-lockdown, who refused to shut down his restaurant from the oppression of the Ontario Ford government. Now, what's the funny thing about this is his restaurant is a barbecue restaurant. Now, when you're thinking of barbecue restaurant, I know you're all thinking it's fine dining. No. You can keep your restaurant open for takeout, delivery. That's fine. No, he had way too much of a problem with that. He wanted his high-end clientele to be able to sit down and enjoy their takeout meal served in a takeout container in his restaurant. And that's the big issue that he was having right there. So what do we got there, Bev?
Well, yeah, it looks like he was granted or allowed to open up again. I was just curious how much he ended up racking up in fines throughout this whole thing. So I was just trying to see. It doesn't look like they mention it here. But either way, I mean, I wonder if this is all worth it for him in the end. Once you factor in like everything he had to pay for his bail and his fines and all that other stuff. I wonder if he's actually going to walk away in the green or in the black, I guess.
Well, hold on there a second. Like, I just have a question. So he's allowed to reopen? I thought he didn't have a business license for that location. What's going on there?
Yeah. Must first get a business license.
Oh my god.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're allowed to open back up, but you gotta,
That's
be
the
a
best. That's the best kicker to this whole story. I couldn't believe when that came out.
Oh my god, this guy, like a restaurant that's not inspected by any health board, anything like that. Like, I worked in the restaurant industry years ago, like, and on the other side, supplying all those cleaning chemicals and things like that, and that's no joke. Like, I mean, health inspectors are there for a reason to check it out because. Not saying that all restaurants, and most restaurants are very, very clean, but there are some that you go into like, holy shit, I would never eat here. Like, and it's disgusting. And they're open and they're busy. And you go in the back and it is disgusting in there. Like, you're looking around, like, if a health inspector came in here, like that would be it. It would be shut down. So a place like this that doesn't have a license to operate their business, health inspectors aren't going there because they're not licensed. It's not on their list. Like, these are just government employees just going down the list. Okay, I got to spot check whatever 2 businesses or 4 businesses today or this month. You know, it's the government, so maybe just this month. But you know what I mean? Like, if he's not on that list, how clean is that restaurant? Not saying it's dirty, but no one's checking. You know what I mean? Like, that's wild.
Yeah, I always wondered why, like, when you go to breweries, for instance, like they either have, they either only have like basic food like charcuterie or something like that, or they've got, or they're linked to it. Like, there's a restaurant across the street they're partnered with or something. And when I started learning more about those the health code laws, it started to make sense pretty quickly. Like, it's not easy to
No.
stay fully in line with all that stuff. Obviously, this guy had no concern about it, but.
Yeah, I got a question for you, Bev. Can you pull up his GoFundMe page? Because I'm really curious on how much that ended up raising. Like, people can't still be donating to this guy, but
Oh, I'm sure they are. And just while we're looking at that picture, all I'm thinking about is his fucking place looks like you're gonna get barbecue in the front door and get your oil changed in the back door in that building.
yeah,
yeah.
for our listeners there, like, it's a warehouse with about 4, it looks like 4 garage door bays off to the side of it with his name plastered all over the side of it. Yeah, no surprise there. Well, holy shit.
My god.
There is that $330,000 out of the $350,000 goal.
They keep raising that
6,400
goal, too.
donors.
That's insane.
That goal was like 20 grand originally. Eh? They just keep putting it up. That's funny.
Who's giving this guy cash? Like, because this is just. Wait, is it actually the guy who started its thing, or is this just some dude doing it for him? Can you? I don't know how GoFundMe really
Has
works.
anyone ever done one of these or been part of one? Because I've never seen the inner workings of how you actually get this supposed money when it's done, and do you have to prove something or?
I
Like,
have
how do
no
you do
idea.
any of this?
I have no idea. I've not
There
done
you
any GoFundMe's.
I would probably never would either, but
No, because you
Oh,
only
here we go.
you only hear half the story most of the time from GoFundMe.
Yeah, so it looks like the guy who's running it, this Barry McNamara, or was it McNamara or whatever. Anyway, it looks like he's like a political operative type guy.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
so he's got all these I guess he's like connected to the Conservative Party and White Rose Party and all that. So yeah, he's just one of these back end, Canadian version of like a Steve Bannon type guy, but.
Okay.
Best he could do rather than setting up an election for a populist. He just runs a GoFundMe.
I'll go find you
Successful one, I'll give him that.
Hey, very successful. Very, very successful. Switching gears a little bit here. Just thinking about that because it's a conservative political guy running that. You want to pull up the Black Lives Matter website? Is it still getting donated to the Democratic Party?
yeah. If you click donate, and for our listeners here, you'll see that the URL actually changes to actblue.com, which is the Conservative Party. And actually, all that shit's down there.
Democratic.
Or yeah, Democratic. Sorry, wrong country here, boys. Sorry, we're flip flopping.
Yeah, because
you
blew
gotta
up
really
here.
know where your money's going with any of this shit, really, right? Like,
Well, it's just like I'm sure I'm assuming you guys donate to charity. Like I donate to most charities, except for the ones that you do a little research and you just got to see what their expenses are, like what their administration expenses are, and if their ratio is too high, which some places like their ratios are.
apparently UNICEF is like total dog shit. Like your 10 cents a day, like 1/10 of 1 cent of that actually gets to their cause, and the rest of it's paying like their quote unquote operating costs. So there's some folks in the 6 digits there, just running the show.
Huh. Yeah. Well, and that's what I always want to look and see, because there are those charities that I don't know how they do it, and there was this one, and I really wish I remembered which one it was, so I could give them a shout out, so you can go donate to. But donating to it, their biggest thing was 100% of your donation as an individual goes towards this cause, and whatever this cause was. I think it was bringing clean water to people. I want to say in Africa, but who knows if it's only Africa, maybe it's all around the world. But what this guy does in order to do this is he raises money for this charity, but also goes out and raises money privately from high net worth investors to cover all the administration costs. So he goes to them and say 100% of your donation is going to go to cover the administration costs for the next X amount of years, or the next 2 years, you are covering all the administration costs. And all the money that we raise from the individuals like us, like not the ultra high net worth individuals, is going 100% to this cause, to digging wells and all those things. And that, like, how you can convince...
That's a good way to do it.
It's a fantastic way to do it, but how to convince someone to give just to administration costs, like, that is real good faith. And that connection that guy made, like, we'll have to come back to this and maybe link it in the description for everyone, so you can see exactly what this charity is doing. And again, I heard this probably about 2 years ago. He was a guest on someone else's podcast, and I really hope that charity is still going on. I'm sure it would be. Like, I mean, I donated to it, so man. But what else? What else do we got here tonight, boys? Besides our friend at the barbecue joint.
Well, I think it's only fair that we touch on the big cybersecurity breach. Let me see if I can pull something up here.
Yeah, that was a big one. And not to date the podcast, but this just came out today. So our knowledge on this and whether it's going to be swept under the rug or it's going to get blown up is yet to be determined. But Bev, why don't you give us a little 30-second pitch on this?
Yeah, so just at the high level, so it looks like a couple corporate cybersecurity services had been hacked what they're calling a third party or a foreign nation state. So one of the main applications that was hacked is this thing called SolarWinds, which is really heavily used by a lot of corporations, like anything from big Fortune 500s, banks and manufacturing, everybody, all the way down to even a smaller company that might do election voting, like this one I heard of, Dominion Election Systems, I believe it was, something like that. But we'll talk a bit more about that one later. But anyway, they're concerned about is there's been some allegations that it was Russia who orchestrated the whole hack. So I guess the Washington Post had some uncredited sources or anonymous sources, which of course is only acceptable when they're the ones bringing those sources forward. But anyway, so they have these sources that claim that there was these two hackers from Russia.
Two
way to
guys.
verify it.
Or
Yeah,
two-
it was two guys who are linked to the government, because I guess like two people are known as like some of their top hackers or whatever. But of course, totally unverified. Nobody really knows. Potentially the U.S. government would, but whether or not they do anything about it, it's hard to say. I'm sure Trump at this point isn't super concerned unless the hack's going to help him out. But and of course Biden's not going to do anything about it. So it's hard to say what's going to happen here, if it's going to be serious or not, if anything big will come out of it. But
So what is the SolarWinds what is SolarWinds? Like, what is that portion of their platform? Like, is it like some kind of cloud service, or I have literally no idea. Like, when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, SolarWinds. I'm like, that's got to be a solar panel company. They're attacking the U.S. grid or something like that. But
Yeah, but time to nuke the sun.
I think like a lot of it, with what I've noticed with a lot of the new call it an industry 4.0 IT platform, is a lot of them aren't about it's not so much about defense necessarily. Like the only companies that seem to do a lot of the defense is like Microsoft and Apple, who are developing all the patches and all the antivirus and anti-adware stuff, and what's it called? Norton antivirus, McAfee. Like they do it as well, but it's really all Microsoft who does a lot of that. But you can see in so on the screen, there's an example or a diagram of the Orion platform, and it just shows all these little bubbles, how it does network performance monitoring, traffic analyzers, IP address managers. So it's all just it's like dashboarding and oversight type stuff. So I guess really what it was is more of rather than trying to break into a system, it's just breaking in and accessing all this information type stuff. Just trying to understand. So if you look at a big corporation,
huge.
yeah, like imagine getting into I don't know, just say like RBC as an example. If you could get in and you could see like their network traffic flow, so you could see what websites their people are visiting. You could check what their investment banking group is doing, and see what projects they're working on. Stuff like there's so much information you could glean from that, from all the like say metadata. There'd be a lot of value to it and a lot of benefit if you're a government trying to influence something. So when you look at, if you're hacking like an essential system that's, tabulating something very important going on in your country, then, it might be beneficial to break into that.
Now,
so it's an interesting one. But again, whether or not anything will come out of it, it's hard to say.
Now, is SolarWinds publicly, like, who owns that product line? Or is SolarWinds the company and not the product?
I think it's the company and the product is this Orion platform.
Okay.
I'm not sure who owns SolarWinds. It might be just a privately owned company.
That's too bad.
Oh no, publicly traded. Yeah. Oh well, stock didn't do too well today, as you can imagine.
Yeah. But I mean,
but it's interesting when you look at these IT, these cyber security incidents. Like, you don't really see how many of them really occur. Like, if you go into your Google account, if you use the Google Password Manager, go into that and just go into the Google Password Manager. Just do it right now, and I'm sure you'll have dozens and dozens of passwords that have been compromised. Like I actually just went through mine the other day just to see what was there, and it was literally hundreds of passwords from all sites you can imagine. That had all been broken into, and they had found my password on like darknet sites and darknet databases. So it's unbelievable how unsecure your data is.
Oh, Bev, like, yeah, you got to show me what that is there, because like I change my password reasonably often, but I mean, when you change it, you use it on multiple websites over and over and over again. Like, so that'd be really good to know. Like, I got a question for you guys. Do you guys use those like Google suggested or Apple suggested or whatever suggested passwords where they make that whatever 20-digit password up for you, and then just trust that Google isn't going to get hacked or Apple or whoever isn't going to do it? Like, personally, I don't, because my thought is like, oh, if everyone's using this crazy password, like Google, like if Google ever gets hacked, then they have everything. But maybe I'm thinking about this backwards. Like, I'm no cybersecurity expert, but what do you guys do?
I use them. Well, I didn't used to, but I just started now because I just got sick of thinking of passwords, so I just use theirs. But the only way I'd be concerned about getting hacked with that is if somebody hacked your Chrome browser and was able to pull out your password file, which apparently is easy enough to do. So that's the only way I'd be concerned about it. And if they did that, it's probably a little more targeted, so they're more likely to actually try and do something with one of your accounts. Otherwise, being one in a database of 200 million passwords, like I'm not super worried about it. And I change my stuff frequently enough; it's unlikely I get hit by anything. And all my important stuff is two-factor anyway, which kind of, so what? You got my password, you're still not getting on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing, like, so just to mention that, like, hacking your browser, like that was my thought. Like, we all worked for a electronics place back in the day, and I don't know how many of you saw what type of things that people were clicking on there, and what kind of keyloggers were installed on their web browsers. I'm no expert, and I click on a lot of shit. You know what I mean, when I'm online. So if any computer is going to have something sketchy on it, it is 100% going to be mine.
Yeah, like I have a lot of faith in, like, I'm an Apple user, and I have a lot of faith in their security protocols around this stuff. If you're using their software, like, once again, if you're using Chrome on a Mac or whatever, then you're basically using Chrome, which is the same no matter where you're using it. But yeah, they're randomly generated numbers and letters password thing works pretty good, and it's all synced with your account through them, which is two-factor and encrypted on both ends, so it's pretty locked tight. But we thought that about a lot of things, and never say never, I guess. But they seem to have a pretty big focus on security and privacy and stuff like that, and you're seeing commercials that are dedicated to only to that and not even a product. So I'm pretty confident with it. But yeah, like I said, anything is possible for sure.
Well, like, remember, oh my God, what was that celebrity nude leak thing back in the day with iCloud getting hacked? Like, that just scared the shit out of me. Like,
that's what prompted the two-factor. So they didn't have two-factor at that time, and that's what actually prompted them to add that, and pretty much forced most people's hands to enable it. Like, they actually added it, and then they you don't have to enable it, but they pretty much kind of keep asking you about it because of that. Because essentially that was a bunch of celebrities. The most famous one, I think, was Jennifer Lawrence. She had some nudie pictures up there. And I think her password was something that was pretty easily guessable for any obsessed fan who could just like Google her like dog's name or something. It was something stupid like that, something personal that you could easily find out. And they basically just brute forced their way in. But because it wasn't a two-factor authentication system at the time, that's all you needed, right? So if your dog is fucking Snuggles and you were born in 1988, and they type that in, that's your password, then there's your titties or whatever, right? So that's so that really prompted them to get into that two-factor, because obviously in the media the flack was not on her for having a stupid password. It was on the company for supposedly being insecure. But that's any company that could happen. But I think you really have seen that was quite a while ago now. That was like 2012 or something like that, maybe. It was a while back. Anyway, and now you're seeing all companies, not just Apple, really jump on board with the two-factor and with the random passwords, and really talking more about security and privacy. Even companies like Facebook that you are the data that they run their business on, but they also want to try and throw their hat in the ring there about privacy and security as well, which is kind of comical, but I think everybody just knows that's kind of the buzzwords right now, and that's what people are paying attention to. So everyone wants to say they're doing something about it. Who knows to what level every company is.
Ooh, I got a hot question for you guys. Do you guys use VPNs?
Occasionally.
Occasionally, okay.
Yeah, I
Big
don't.
D? You don't?
I've used it for like Netflix stuff in the past, but not just for like private browsing or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh no, basically just for downloading content or streaming stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I was talking to someone last week, and they were saying they exclusively use VPNs for everything that they do, and that he telling me I am out of my mind for not doing that, and I just wanted to get your opinions on it. Like, I personally don't use one, and everyone I've used one in the past, but like right now, I don't know. I just
you can bottleneck the fuck out of your connection with that, right? Though, because if you don't have a good VPN, even if you have a fast internet connection coming in, if the VPN service is bad, you're gonna actually suffer for it. So I don't know how anyone can use it all the time. Maybe that person's doing mad sketchy shit all the time, but typically the average person where you're just hammering away on your Facebook or whatever, or watching YouTube videos, like, I don't think it's necessary. This person sounds like they're probably one of those people who are like super over concerned with the government's watching me, bud, and if they feel better that way, that's fine. But I think that as long as you don't have 15 toolbars running on your Chrome, you're probably relatively safe, at least as the next guy, right? But
unless you're doing something.
Whoa. Stop. I need to go back a second. What's wrong with having 15 toolbars open?
I don't know, bud. What, you got 16 or what?
I just opened up mine right now. I literally got 14 open right now. Is that not good? Like, I find something.
Tabs or toolbars? There's a big difference here, bud.
What? Oh, tab. Oh, okay. Whew. I got tabs open because I'm
talking about grandma in her Explorer.
Oh, back in the day,
15 different Google fucking bars or whatever. Do you remember that? People.
Oh yeah, back.
You'd see all people's computers.
That's like an early 2010s type thing. Well, even before that, but
I
don't see that anymore.
My favorite virus or whatever all time was there was this one going around there, and it would turn on your webcam, take a picture of you, and then plaster your picture on an RCMP logo. So for listeners in the States, RCMP is like Canada's federal police, so it's like the FBI of Canada. So we got RCMP logo. We found child pornography on your computer. Pay us $200 and we will we'll get this off of your computer. And so many. It was mostly old dudes who come in and just open their thing like, oh, I need you to clear this place. And people would fall for it too. They would pay the money. They'd pay the $200 like that. It's such a weird concept. Like, how could you ever think something like that is legit? Like, number one, what the fuck are you clicking on? But I mean, even if you were to get caught, the government's not going to say, yeah, pay less than a speeding ticket and fucking... Hey, we're all good here. You know what I mean?
The best one is these big CRA scams. I think it's the last like 2-3 years they've been really prevalent, where they call you or whatever and they tell you that they're the CRA, right? And they're usually they don't sound like the CRA, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, Canada Revenue Agency.
Yeah.
And, that's the IRS up here. Yeah.
I was in a store last year around this time, I think, actually, and there was an old lady in there, and she was arguing with one of the employees because she was trying to buy like over $1,000 worth of gift cards, and she's like, no, like I just need them. And she's like, is someone? She was on the phone, like she had her phone on, and they're like, who's on the other end of that phone? Like, oh, nobody, don't worry. And they're like, this is a scam, just hang up on them. Like, we're not gonna sell you these cards. She's like, I don't need these cards. I'm gonna go somewhere else get these cards. They're like, no, ma'am, like don't buy these cards anywhere. And like, I don't know if she went to another store and bought those cards, but like, for anyone listening out there who maybe has received one of these calls, the Canadian government does not take Amazon or Apple iTunes cards as payment for taxes, so you can just hang up when they start asking for those. But,
well, what's interesting now is the modern day, more advanced version of these is those like BitLocker type scams where they'll hit a company or like a town or a city with one of these things that locks out all the computers on their network, and then pay us 10 Bitcoin or I don't know whatever a Bitcoin, and we'll unlock it for you. And everybody gets nervous, like, oh well, should I pay it or not? But interestingly, they pretty much always, if you pay them, they are almost guaranteed to unlock it, because the one thing they can't do is build that reputation of not following through. Because if everyone knows, like, okay, you pay the ransom and they'll unlock all your stuff, then they're gonna do it. So it's funny. It's just funny how that's kind of migrated now, and it's they're just playing with way bigger stakes and way fancier tools.
Yeah, if you go to like eBay and stuff like that and type in like iTunes cards or Amazon gift card, you'll find ads where they have X amount of dollars of gift cards for lower than the face value, and that's what they're doing. Is they're basically, they get these people to read off the codes and they type them all into a file and they just resell them, and that's how they stay basically anonymous, because they're essentially laundering the gift card money into real money that way.
Oh my god,
it's pretty wild.
That's wild. I knew that they always want those gift cards and things like that, but I had no idea that they're reselling, because I was always like, what the fuck are you gonna do with Google gift cards? I'm like, I guess you can buy stuff, probably, maybe, I don't know, but I'm not a fucking criminal. So one thing about the pandemic that was pretty good is I stopped getting those calls for a while. So like, even those fake call centers, whatever country they're coming from, they were also in lockdown, so they stopped calling me.
They could work from home so easily too. Come on.
I know, but I mean, like,
I
stopped getting them.
12 cents an hour or whatever the fuck they're getting paid. There's a guy on YouTube. I'll try and find the link.
Oh, it's Kit Boda. It's Kit Boda. He's hilarious.
He like, basically they try to he goes along with it, and then he lets them into their computer, but then he remotely takes over their computer once it's open.
Oh no, different dude. Oh, different dude. No, yeah, you got to share that link. I'd watch the shit out of that. Yeah. That would be fucking hilarious.
Well, I think that wasn't there one where he got into like the BIOS or something. He like turned off all like the CPU fans, and he like overheated this dude's computer.
Yeah. There's a few. There's another guy I saw who he paid $20 PayPal, US $20 to one of the guys, and said, hey man, like, I just want to talk to you, I'll pay you $20, like, jump on this Skype call with me. So he did, and the guy explained, like, they are like literally almost like slave labor doing this shit. He's like, we're just trying to provide for our families, like, we don't get to keep, like, we steal thousands of dollars a day for these people, and we get like a little tiny, like, $20 a day or something. It's crazy. The guy actually, you almost felt bad for him. Like, the guy's having like a breakdown. It's like, we forget, like, where we are, and we're really fortunate to be in North America and in Canada, and the opportunities are pretty much like, they really are endless for most people if you can speak and are able-bodied. You go there and it's
don't be a criminal. Yeah, don't be a criminal. Like here, like, you want to succeed, don't be a criminal. And even that, like, air quotes, like, I mean, you can get stuff taken off your record, you know what I mean? But like, you have unlimited potential here, and I think that's what people forget here, and they just get complacent in whatever the hell they're doing. Like, no, this is my life, I love doing this whatever it is, and good for them if they truly are happy. But don't fucking, like, the best and worst part, like, everyone's an online community. Don't go online and complain about other people doing things. You can go do the same thing. You can literally go do the same thing. Like, it might be harder for you to do it, but nothing is physically stopping you from going to do it. Like, I spend way too much time on Instagram, and it's not good. And like, I like, as tacky and cheesy as it is, like, I always set yearly goals and like New Year's resolutions, and I accomplished most of my New Year's resolutions from last year, and I'm going to set more for this year. And one of them is to fucking rather get Instagram completely off of my phone, or just limit it to a certain amount of time, because I spend way too much fucking time on there, because it's like a dopamine hit. Like, you need that hit, like, oh my god, I I did some tasks. Now I get to go on Instagram for 5 minutes or something like that. But anyways, like I saw this post and it was complaining about one of the Kardashians posting a picture of her fucking new car. And her fans complaining like, did you know that there are people starving in the world? How could you post something like this? And she took the post down. Like, fucking who gives a shit? You're the same people complaining about fucking her having some bullshit fucking whatever multi-million-dollar vehicle. Stop buying her shit then if you don't fucking want to do it. Like, who cares? She can spend her money however the fuck she wants to. Like, I mean, it's none of your fucking concern. You gave her the money, so fuck off. Like, that's it. Leave it alone.
It's like there's a magazine called Toronto Life that always posts on like Facebook and stuff like that. So I was reading an article just about this couple who they have a house right downtown Toronto, like some super expensive area. It's probably $2 million house. And then they just did a $75,000 renovation, I guess you could say, to their backyard for COVID. So they put in a fire pit and, you know, all this landscaping and all this other stuff. It looked pretty good, but I was just skimming through the comments after I read it, and everybody was just digging into the magazine for how come you're like, you know, it's the same thing. It's like there's people out starving and blah blah blah, this and that, homeless people are 2 blocks away. It's like, why aren't you talking about that? It's like, well, that's the whole purpose of this magazine, is to talk about, you know, high life basically of Toronto. Every article is about wealthy people, wealthy things. It's not targeting people like people are reading about homeless people, right? It's a totally different demographic. But really, when you look at all those things, that the bottom line is, I think there's those people out there who don't like success. People don't like seeing success. They don't like reading about it. They don't like anybody who's doing better than them. It
don't
bothers
understand.
them to the core. There's a lot of people who just don't like it. They just don't want to see I don't know, hard to describe.
And I don't get that whatsoever, because it's not like these people aren't paying taxes. Like here in Canada, like the upper tax brackets, and Bev, if you want to pull that up just to see what the marginal tax rate is here in Ontario, like you pay upwards of 55% tax. So if you're a high net worth individual paying 5% taxes, and someone's giving you shit about putting a fire pit in your backyard, go fuck yourself. Like, not my concern. I already gave however much fucking money in taxes. Just because the government is pissing it away on some other shit and not taking care of homeless people. Like, I agree, there's a huge homeless problem. A fucking huge homeless problem. But it is not an easy situation. Like, just putting some... This is a whole nother thing. But, I mean, real quick. Just putting some person in a fucking home isn't going to stop homelessness. Because if you put someone in a fucking home in the... Like, I hate using this term, but like in the ghetto with a bunch of other fucking homeless people that you're paying the rent for, guess what? They're going to do sketchy fucking shit in that area. And it's just going to turn into even more of a shithole paid for by the government, paid for by the taxpayers. Like, you have to integrate them into society. Like, I believe it's Singapore. Really fantastic about this. Like, Singapore is like a city state where there's not a lot of land, so it's all fucking apartment blocks. But those apartment blocks are this might not be PC, but I mean, are not allowed to be segregated, let's say. So you can't have like an all white apartment block. You can't have an all black. You can't have, everyone is all mixed together, all different economic classes. Everyone is all mixed together. Now, who knows if it's still like this, but this is what it was like when I read about this 10 years ago. That whole idea of integrating everyone together in part of a society is great. Not saying that I want to live next to fucking homeless McGee here, but I mean, maybe someone in the kind of area, as long as there's not a ton of fucking homeless people or super low income people, because if they're all super low income people and homeless people live together, they're going to just know other homeless people and other low income people. And they're going to think whatever they're all doing is the normal. But if you integrate those people into the rest of society and you have them in your neighborhood and you're all in there in society, they're like, oh, wait. Yeah, wow, you people don't get fucking wasted every single night of the week. You get up in the morning and do shit. Wow, that is fucking exciting. And that is something that they would strive to be. But I mean, it's not like that now, but like that little rant that I had there, it just pisses me off when people fucking piss on people who made a lot of money or did a lot of stuff. Like, I'm 100% not in this fucking tax bracket, but the people who are in that tax bracket, no problem with whatever the fuck they're doing. Like, so if we're looking at the screen here, Bev, what do we got here?
Well, this is just breaking down annual taxable income into the basically all the core tax brackets. So I think the main thing to highlight is once you're over 214,000 a year, you're paying a 33% tax rate. But I think going back,
well,
That's just federal only.
That's just federal, not including provincial.
Yeah.
So if you go, there's a
sure. Let's see if I can get an Ontario one.
yeah. There's an Ontario one. Like if you just search.
It's all here.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Because that's 33% federal taxes. So federal meaning the federal government will take it in, spend on defense, things like that, spend on. I guess as we were talking about earlier, our RCMP, and then redistribute it to the other provinces that don't make as much money as the big three. But
right, and then I guess when you look at the Ontario, then they have like the scaling brackets. So for each amount, you pay a different amount. You pay a different rate on. Until you get over 220,000, then you're paying 13%. So then that gets added to your federal taxes as well. So, and like you're saying, then splits depending on what your
so 46%. Could you also just type in like take home income in Ontario of 250K? Because this is a great website. I forget what the name is, and our viewers on YouTube can pull it up here. And it's a cool thing to see. I know I was using it's a website. Yeah, this is the website right here. So I was using this website because I was thinking about moving out of Ontario to Quebec, and I just wanted to compare how much money I would actually take home, because housing in Quebec is a lot cheaper than it is in Ontario.
Yeah. So what's this called? It's new. What's this Nouveau or Nouveau? NEUVOO.ca.
Yeah, really cool. If you want to see how much money you actually take home at the end of the day, you could do yearly, weekly salary, all those things. So you can actually set your budget so you actually know at the end of the day, like, oh, I'm going to make this much money. Here's how much I actually take home every single year. So if you make, can you put it like 250K just to see? Because 250K is the whatever.
Yeah, so look at that. So you basically on 250,000, you're paying your total tax paid, both federal, provincial, and all your CPP, Canada Pension Plan, and EI employment insurance deductions. So you're looking at 100,000 basically in total tax.
Okay, so less than 50%. Okay, that's good. But could you imagine, like, again, I don't make 250K, but like paying $100,000 in taxes and then have someone have the fucking audacity to complain that I want to spend $70,000 on my backyard? Like, go fuck yourself. I literally paid $100,000 in fucking taxes. The fuck did you pay in
paid
taxes?
more than that person probably made in the last 2 years.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Like, yeah,
Well, that's the thing. Say it makes 75,000. Like, what do you pay in tax here?
19,000 in taxes. But
$20,000. Yeah.
So now let's be realistic. The people complaining. Let's say you make $40,000 a year. Like realistic. So someone is complaining about someone who probably makes like 250, 300,000 a year. If you make $40,000 a year in Ontario, you pay $8,000 in
keeping
taxes.
most of it.
Yeah. So it's going to take you 12 fucking years to pay as much as that person did who put in that 70K fucking backyard in his backyard did in 1 year. Who's doing less for homeless people at the end of the day?
Exactly.
There you go.
Boom, busted, baby.
Busted,
baby. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm 100% with you, Beth. Like, people complaining about the dumbest fucking shit in the world. Now, like, people who actually want to do tax avoidance and things like that. Yeah, I'm not for that. Like, just pay your fucking taxes. But it's just shut the fuck up.
Like, if you spent half as much time fucking working to fucking better yourself that you did on the internet complaining, like, where would you be, right? That's the thing with a lot of these people. It's like they sit on Twitter and they just fucking go yeah on their keyboard and fucking, I'll show you fucking elitist. And it's like, fuck, man, just like take that energy and do something positive with it. And like, You know, maybe you can have a fucking nice backyard too. That's the thing that kills me is the amount of this like energy wasted on negative shit, and like
It's
we're
a
all
defeatist
fucking guilty
attitude.
for it. It's just so
It
fucking
is.
stupid. You should be inspired by that. Like that's sweet. I want to have that one day. Not the opposite of fuck that guy. Blah 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 blah. Like that's where like I've always been really really like deeply offended whenever someone steals or wrecks someone's shit. That is the most disrespectful fucking thing you can do, in my opinion. Is it's just like someone worked hard for that, and you just think that you can just judge them and oh, fuck this guy, he's rich, he doesn't need it, I'm gonna take it or whatever. Like I fucking hate that so much. Just that just hits me, like hits a nerve with me every time when some shit like that happens. It just drives me nuts. Even if like large, oh this is a large corporation, they don't care, we can steal from them, blah blah blah. Like man, fuck off. You're stealing from the people who work from that company as well, too. Like, because, you know, the money's going to come out of somewhere. Like, that's the thing is people don't realize they just fucking... They
Here's
gotta
the
get off the
thing.
internet, man. That's the reality. People got to live
Like-
in the real world.
Like things like fucking Shopify, for example. Great example of this. Shopify exists, and Shopify's whole platform is to get your business, big or small, off the ground and selling to the market. And they are more successful because they get a fucking cut of whatever processing fees if you use their stuff. And they just want you to be successful so you buy more of their products. These things fucking exist. You don't make enough money? Go fucking start a Shopify site and start selling something. Fucking do anything. Go get 2 jobs. Like all of us fucking do more than one thing. Then depending on one solo source of income, we all do other things. Everybody does that. And people who don't think that that guy or that girl who's making 250 fucking K didn't work their fucking ass off, losing their mind. Like they're out to fucking lunch. Like they work hard for that fucking money.
Well,
and just... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Just like the truth is, like the barrier to entry is lower than it's ever been in human history to make money.
Yeah.
Like you think about stuff, and I don't want to talk about specific brands here, and you guys know the reason, but like you think about like people who make apps and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
People get angry at big companies, and we know there's a couple big companies specifically who have a place to sell this stuff. But you as a little developer making an app in your apartment or whatever, what's your barrier to entry? Like you have some coding knowledge, you need to have a computer, and then you throw it up on Google or Apple or whatever, and you have access to millions of people who can access your app, and you can make money from it instantly upon doing that.
If you're Google,
and you complain about any kind of cut being taken from those people, like good luck going and sourcing these customers yourself. Otherwise, like people don't realize how hard it is to get even one person to listen to you, and how amazing it is to live in a day and age where you can just throw something up on a platform, whether it's a podcast or an app or whatever, and have all these eyes on it.
We appreciate each and every one of you for listening in, and we hope you continue to listen in on this. But I'm with you 100%. Like when you say millions of people, Google's penetration is literally billions. Literally billions of people. Like you can take an app, put it up there, and some dude in fucking Russia can download your shit. Like that's insane. That's insane. For free. It doesn't cost you anything to put it up there. Like that's
even on that note, like when you look at education, because I mean if you're trying to advance yourself and advance your skill sets, I mean if you want to learn how to code, for instance, you can do it free of charge on the internet, no problem, easy. If you want to learn, if you want to take business school classes, you can do it for free on the internet, no problem. I mean, there's so much you can do. You might not walk away with a formal piece of paper from, Harvard University, but you're going to have that skill where you can at least get started. You can at least move yourself forward and start to make a better life for yourself. But it's that term of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's true, and it's for most people it's true, is that they can't learn. People cannot handle learning. Like we've heard lots of stories from friends of ours who work in the government of people who have been asked to go slightly beyond their job description when doing we need you to do this presentation on this topic you're only slightly linked to or whatever. You're only slightly in your department, and there's a freak out. They can't handle it.
No, sorry, that's not in my job description. That's not in my job description. Could you imagine?
It's unbelievable.
Like, what? Are you capable of giving a presentation? Do you know anything about this? Can you speak? Yes, you can speak. Then give this fucking presentation. Like that's it. Like that's over. Like I don't see any problem. That's why I love working in private industry, because in theory, most private industries don't take that shit. And those people who aren't willing to work don't get promoted, or don't make the money, or don't get the title, or whatever you chase, whatever drives you, they don't get that, and they just stay stagnant. And like, circling back, like, those are the people in the comment section of Toronto Life talking shit about some dude in his fire pit. Like,
yeah, and those are the people who, you know, in a 2020 COVID year, that kind of behavior could mean that instead of just not getting promoted, maybe you don't have a job anymore, bud. You know, like, I think, you know, we can all relate to being asked to do things sometimes in our jobs, especially this year, that weren't always necessarily part of your job, or weren't always something that you've always done. And you know, I had coworkers that were, you know, adamant they weren't going to do this or that, or it wasn't their job, and it's like, are you insane? Like, people are literally losing their jobs right now, like, left, right, and center. And you have a great job, you know, in a good company, and you will get back to normal at some point, and you're just not willing to try something new. And, you know, like, I was really excited to do some things, and I've learned a lot and developed a lot of new skill sets this year as a result of it, and also been recognized for being someone who will step up, right? And as someone who's a fairly young guy and still trying to move my way up in the world here, like, I think that's the reputation you want to have. You want people to think, like, oh, that guy, like, yeah, we asked him to do this last year and he fucking hit it out of the park, you know, and then that's how you get the next project. And then maybe that's how you build, you know, a new skill set that you take with you to another company or not, or whatever, right? But I think that willingness to grow is kind of in you, or it's not. And it's surprising how many people it's just not in them at all to try and grow.
Well, it's like fear of failure is like crippling for people. It's like, what if I can't do it? What if I don't know what to do? It's like, wow, like I'm glad I don't have that opinion.
How did you learn anything
every
ever?
single day? Every single day I'm doing something I don't know how to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if, like, our listeners, like, if any of you have been in sales, like, sales is the most humbling thing you've ever done in your life, because the majority of time that if you're in any type of job that's cold calling, like, so just straight up, you're rather walking into a business or picking up the phone and you're cold calling somebody and physically trying to convince them to meet with you or buy your shit or whatever. You get called every name in the book. Over and over again, and rejection is just a part of your everyday, and it teaches you really quick to gain a thick skin and to gain the knowledge to know when you're wasting your time and when you're not. But I mean, the biggest thing that, like, I know I've gotten personally out of being in sales for so long is literally anything is possible. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's how much effort you want to put into something is what you're going to actually get out of it. And I take that to all aspects of my life. And like, you take that to, like, we were talking about on the last pod about, like, your physical activity and stuff like that, and going to the gym. Like, you take that same aspect to doing things like that, going to the gym, cooking, doing whatever you want to do in whatever aspect of life. Like, if you don't try, and you're going to fail over and over again, and you're going to be shitty at it. Like, first time you ever go to the gym, or first time you go for a run, guess what? You're going to suck balls at it, and it's going to be horrible, and it's going to suck. But every single time you do it, you're going to get better. And these people here making fucking whatever, just sitting there, not trying to better themselves, not trying to take those extra courses, not taking on that extra work. This is outside of my job description shit. If you're fine being where you are, be that person, and be that fucking, I will not do anything other than what's exactly contracted for me to do. But if you're not, if you want to go somewhere, do it. Just fucking do anything. Go get outside your comfort zone. Like, I take on any project I could possibly do it. Give presentations, give talks about shit you don't fucking know about. It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, I'll give a presentation on that. When's the presentation? Tomorrow. Okay, fine. And I'm going to stay up late that night and rock the shit out of the presentation the next day. And I know you guys will do the exact same thing. And I hope our listeners will just try it. Like, just try it. If anyone ever asks you to do anything, just fucking be a yes man. Like, just say yes and take it. And
you gotta be a yes man.
100% you gotta be a yes man.
And people forget too, like, just circling back around to this access to information that we have, you know, even if it's your first time having a role where maybe you're cold calling or whatever. That was just an example you used earlier. You can literally type into YouTube like cold calling experiences, how to cold call, blah blah blah, and you'll have people who are fucking experts who've done this for years tell you all of the ins and outs, and you can actually go into that first experience like pretty well prepared, and you're actually going to avoid a lot of those pitfalls that these people had to learn, on the job about. So I mean, you're still going to probably have a rough time doing anything the first time, and you should expect that, and that's how you learn. But like, it's unbelievable to me that like literally almost anything in this world now, you can just Google or YouTube search or whatever and become, at least 50% more familiar with it within like an hour than you were your entire life before that moment. Like, that access to information is incredible, and the fact that people don't use that tool to better themselves or their lives or their position, but instead decide to jump on Twitter and complain about someone's backyard is fucking mind-boggling.
It literally is. Well, boys, we came a long way since our barbecue friend here. And on that note, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. And we'll see you all in a couple of days.